All right, welcome back. So today we will be focusing on phase two. First one is preparing and then the execution of the phase two audit. So phase two audit is primarily for the applicability testing. What is applicability? The documents prepared by the organization for the effectiveness and the international standard requirements. That the phase one, we have completed the audit. Organization has the documents and organization has reached to the level of phase two. Now who will communicate that? Very obvious. Certification body will communicate that. Lead auditor will have no role to directly communicate anything to the auditee because the review, that is the quality review, has to be done by certification body. Now question comes up, who performs that quality review? Quality review is generally performed by the someone who's seasoned person in auditing, maybe master lead auditor, you can consider that, or someone who specializes in the auditing and has an of course experience in as a lead auditor can perform from certification body. The person will not be there on site with lead auditor and the team. Okay, so as we are done with that, now we will be moving forward with the phase two. Phase two, as we said, this is going to be the applicability testing. When I say applicability test, for example, you have a backup policy. Backup policy says that we have various types of backups that we take it up. You have daily, weekly, archival, and all. So we have the full backup, we have incremental backup, we have a differential backup. So how does actually work? Okay. So and whether they are following that backup process. Not only that you are taking backup, we are also maintaining the logs of the backup. But also, and along with that, in the backup process, you will have an offsite backup. So there are a couple of controls will be a part of this backup process. Now, including the process, we will not look at the process whether it is there and they are following. We will also look at what are the roles and responsibilities. Are they carrying out? Are they maintaining the records? So, and are they achieving the intended objective? Does mean that has to lead to the availability of IT infrastructure. So these are some things that you have to be testing. Now, I have said this considering my experience. However, when you are performing first time or with initial, of course, support from your team members, you should be understanding how to prepare audit test cases. When you know audit test cases, this will become very easy for you going forward. And you will be able to conduct the audit successfully. Now we will be getting it, and that's how we will be getting into the phase two. Phase two, we know that but before that, we will be getting to preparation. When I say preparation of audit test case, checklist is primarily, again, this is like a phase one checklist we did. Now this we will be talking about phase two. I would like to hear from the participants what would be the difference between the phase one and phase two checklist. Sugato?
Yeah, man.
What would be the difference between the phase one and phase two checklist? We have yesterday learned the checklist, audit checklist topic.
Correct. So, see, the phase one checklist would be rather at a high level, I would think about. And phase two, it would be a detailed, right? Say, for example, the example that you just took for a backup, right? Phase one could be just a backup policy, right? Phase two could be the frequency of the backup. How are you managing the media for that rotation of those backup? What sort of a backup? It could be a detailed information.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I appreciate that. So we will be getting into test cases very soon. We are talking about checklist. Checklist is something which you should not be skipping as an auditor, right? So that's what we discussed. Like you have a travel plan. Similarly, you have a checklist. Now, checklist will include your phase one audit report. That is something which you will have. Checklist will include the audit plan for phase two. Checklist will include the audit test cases, templates that we are supposed to use, non-conformity draft reports that we will have a presentation to the stakeholders. We will have an opening meeting agenda we will have, if there is a change, how that change will be recorded. So the communication templates with the stakeholders internally, if you have a daily, see it, if it is 2 weeks audit, or it is the 3 weeks audit, or maybe a month's audit. So you will have to have a report, or sorry, template to communicate with the respective stakeholder. Now, what is the status of the report or status of the audit with the auditee stakeholders as well as the certification body? We will have to have a templates accordingly. So this is what you will have a checklist available for phase 2. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer to that. I hope this is okay. So this is what we discussed yesterday. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So addition to this, we will have the phase 1 audit report. You will have the, if there were some non-conformities, you will have to verify the non-conformities. You will have some templates. Now, this is like NC report, daily report, exception reporting, audit end report. So that will also be there as a part of your phase 2 audit. Okay. So checklist. Now, this is something which we are clear. Now, I would like to talk about the audit plan. What will include as a part of audit plan in phase 2? Phase 2 audit plan. Okay, no worries. Anyone? Yes. Snehal? Phase
Who
2
are the
audit plan.
team members?
Okay, who are the team members? Okay.
The
I will have
previous phase 2 results.
visible.
Phase 1 results.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
phase 1
fine.
audit.
Can you
Okay.
see this? This is what I said, audit checklist and audit plan. Yeah. So I'll take it here for you. Yeah, visible. Now you have the plan. When we say plan, first of all, you have to have an audit criteria. Remember that. Is that clear?
Yes.
We have to have audit criteria. And then we should be having such template where you can have where department, the auditor role, audit team member, the audit test case. You will not be sharing this with the auditing. And I did mention yesterday as well for audit plan. Okay, you will not be sharing this with your auditing. Date, the audit window, process, policies that your systems, evidences that you are going to collect. Okay, so well, you can see whether evidence is collected, not collected. You can have remarks related to that as well. There would be some, not audit is not like always sweet. You must have experienced that. Yes or no? Sugato, Sujit, Rohit, what's your experience? Is audit always smooth? Rohit?
No, never.
The word
Yeah,
was
never.
yeah. So it will like, so you will have ambiguities, and you will have you will not you will not be in a favor of what auditor is asking for. So there are too many expectations. So there are many things which are a part of it. So this is something not, sometime it gets into the lot of argument and the dispute. Yeah, so that's also is one of so you as an auditor, as much as you can be a calm, stick to your role, you will be successful. The day you will get into personal and you will take it to your emotion and your skill, you are actually differing from the principles, audit principles. Remember that statement. The day you will get into personal or on your skills, capabilities showcasing, you are differing from audit principle. Remember that statement. And most of the auditors who are seasoned, they are well aware of this fact. Youngsters or immature auditors, they take it personally. And you must have experienced that. Seasoned auditors do not debate. They do not get into debate. Yes or no, Sujit? Sugato?
Correct.
Yeah, correct. So seasoned auditors, they always try to keep it very, comfortable.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they will make the remarks. They will write the remarks. Is that okay? They will write their observations, but they will not argue. That is something you will have to practice going forward. And we will see how that we will be conducting the audit test cases. So this is what we can talk about the audit plan. So there are 2 points that we have covered. Now, important is audit test case. Now, this audit test case is something like a very obvious factor. Okay, very obvious. I would like to guide you, but when you are preparing audit test case, first of all, you should have at least some subject matter expertise. If you do not have, there is no point you should be going for audit. That is something which you have to be very, very careful. If you do not know any subject, for example, you are not aware of HR practice, you are conducting HR activities like before, during, and after. Why will you be there as auditor? If you do not know the supplier selection process and supplier management activities, supplier reviews, supplier performance management, and the renew termination, there is no point of you to be there as an auditor. It same applies to the operations. It applies to software development. It applies to business continuity. So there are various domains. So that you need to be very focused on that. Okay, that's how it is. Now, I'll be getting into the next part of the discussion, which will be the promote or maybe some of the examples of audit test cases. Is that okay? Now, if at all, for example, that you are conducting change management. Now, I'll just show you where is this about change management and all. Okay, let's have a look at your standard copy. Let's have a look at your standard copy. Yeah, visible. Operational security, ERA 12.1.2, change management, changes to organization, business processes, information processing facilities, and system that affect information security shall be controlled. Now, I will do it with you, one exercise, okay? And then I will ask you to perform and prepare your own questions, or I will ask you to prepare the audit test cases for each one of control for you. Individually, I'll ask you to prepare that. I'll give you 15-20 minutes for that to have a thoughtful discussion. It is not like a jumping to the completion of the topic. Okay, I'll be guiding you. Now, have a look at this. This is what is copy pasted. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Now, visible. Okay. Now, when we say changes to organization, business process, information processing facilities, and systems that affects information security shall be controlled. This is saying, I repeat, this is saying, this is on all aspects. This is not only on, I repeat, this is not only on IT changes. Is that clear, everyone? If you are, I hope you are clear.
Yep.
Yeah. If you are conducting the top management audit, this control may be operationally operation security. It is applicable. Not, of course, it is not for the top management, but people reporting to the top management, they are certainly involved in operation security. Changes to organizations. Now, that does mean you are changing organization structure. Maybe within IT, within HR. How will you conduct the audit? Business processes. Now, business processes can be the payment collection process. Okay. Now, payment follow-up process. Payment, of course, disbursement process. You may have information processing facilities like you have physical security, that you may have some change. And then you have the systems that affect information security. That is again what we will say IT related. So here I have taken an IT example. Okay. For example, change management process IT, scope of the changes I have seen. This network systems application development, that is support and management. Okay, application development and management. Database, voice communication, supply changes, change requests, normal emergency. Sample you will be collecting out of this. Security patches that you will have. Okay, normal emergency change report. That this is what you. However, we know what this is not will be given to you. You will have to prepare this. I repeat, you will not be given. How can you prepare? You must know what is this change management process works. Anyone aware how IT change management process works? Snehal?
No,
I
sir.
have an idea.
Okay, great.
I have some idea.
Wonderful. Can you give me some steps of change management? We can make a note of that.
So one is initiating the change, then submitting it to the CAB or ECAB depending on the emergency. Then approval, implement, test, accept.
Rollback procedure.
Yeah, rollback. Yes, rollback if needed. That will be part of the
So I have heard
plan. Yeah.
you are well aware of some of the important activities, and I appreciate that. And I'm appreciating that. Okay. Now I'll clear this. Before, as you said, that we are going to initiate with what? RFC, right?
Yes.
Now, what we call as request for change. Other members who are not aware of it, I hope Rohit, you are active, as well as you have other members, Akshita and Sneh. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Now, so initiate with RFC, request for change, what you call as request for change. This is now question comes up, where is this topic came from? Topic is very clearly came from, we are discussing about the audit test case preparation. We have selected a sample test to be collected for change management. Okay, IT change management. Is that clear? We have sample taken from the control A.12.1.2. That is one. Now, next, we have requested participants change management understanding. We have written that. Now, I'm further elaborating about that change management process. So, as RFC, you will submit that. You will have a CAB approval. I have a process defined, and I will explain it to you. RFC form looks like this, where change ID, description, reviewer, initiator, approver, and you have a date, time, the change window, whether it is high, medium, low priority, and as well as the remediation plan or rollback plan that you have, as Sugato mentioned. Important point is, if you do not carry out, that what will be the risk to the organization. So something which you have to be very careful with this. Now, coming back to the point, the change management process flow, okay, that you have, sorry. Okay. Now, this flow says that you have the inputs coming from you will have either upgrade or incident, problem, supplier, client, and events. Can be any reason the change will come to IT. Example that you are changing or upgrading an application, or you are upgrading for, we'll say very simple, we are upgrading a firmware on firewall. It's a one change that you are, and this is a normal change. Okay. So you have a RFC form, the request for change, that will be reviewed by the change coordinator. Okay, that will be reviewed by change coordinator. If the form is complete, what we have seen, okay, then it will move to the CAB. CAB will take a decision to approve or reject. the change. Now, on who will take the decision? You will have on behalf of CAP, change manager will do that. Okay. Now, who will be a part of this CAP? You will have a network systems application, voice database, as well as you will have a business representative, maybe service delivery management. You have a configuration manager role, as well as you will have service level manager role available here in a CAP. Okay. Now, change is discussed and approved. It will be built, test. Now, if you have tested and the test is not successful, you will go for remediation plan. That is rollback plan. If the test is successful, then you will go for deployment. If the deployment is successful, then you will go for post-implementation review. Else, you will go for rollback plan. And if while we are performing post-implementation review, you found that there are some, and who will be a part of this? In general, change manager, configuration manager, and you will have release manager. Now, there are some service management related terminologies. You will have to be very clear with that. And that is something which I generally say, if you are learning ISO 27001, do not skip at least ITL Foundation certificate. Do not skip ITL Foundation certificate. Is that clear? Next, you will log incident and problem. And if there is any change that is leading to incident problem, and if no, it is successfully closed, it is completed. We have the flow in front of us. I repeat, we have the flow in front of us. I would like to discuss with you, and now your thought process, when you are conducting the audit, what you will, as an auditor, you will be testing. Whether they are following, not following, I would like to know. This is normal change, what we discussed. Okay. There can be an emergency change. Emergency change says that firewall has stopped working. We said firewall example. That is the reason I'm sticking to that. So as there is no confusion with you. Earlier example, we said firewall firmware that we are upgrading. But now I'm saying firewall abruptly stopped working and we need to fix that. Where in general CAP comes up once in a 7 days or 15 days example. Okay. Now you cannot wait for CAP to come and then we will carry out the change. We will take approval. No, emergency is emergency, where you will not wait for CAP. You will have an ECAP. ECAP where you will have the selective members who will take the decision and approve that. That's exactly what we are talking about. Now, having this understanding, I repeat, having this understanding, I would like to hear from you. What is, I repeat, I would like to hear from you. What is that you will be auditing on the change management? I'll give you 5 minutes for you to think and answer. Do not jump on the conclusion. Take your time and come back to me in 5 minutes. Okay. So we are discussing on the change management exercise that was given. Now, Sugato, you are saying that you will review the document, right? Document Correct. Is already there as a document audit, is already a part of phase 1 audit.
Yeah.
What will you be doing in phase 2 then?
Phase 2, have they followed the process for that particular, for implementing a CR? Was the approvals taken, right? So,
how will you test that?
So either it could be an access to their tool, which shows the approvals have been uploaded. Yes. It could be in form of a paper copy, that it could be an email.
Will you be getting access to the tool as an auditor?
It depends.
We check the logs,
or the logs, or a physical copy will do as an auditor.
They would be submitting as the documents also, the entire for that particular control. If they have, for the particular change, if they have processed the CR, they would be submitting as the document. So we'll go through that document step by step.
So that you will have a time you had gone through in a phase 1 itself. The only point here is for phase 2 audit test case preparation, we want your test cases. And that's generally yesterday also, Snehal, I mentioned that you should be, and Akshita, you should be mentioning that in a PPT. When you do that, so it will start working automatically. No worries. All right. So we have Sujit and Snehal.
Yeah, so when audit, typically, whatever documents they are submitted is reviewed in the first phase. So phase 2, I will pick up some their old documents, whatever they have prepared during the period, and I'll see if it is as per what they said they do it.
Okay, old document. Why do we get into old document?
In the previous day, whatever they have done till now. So maybe a previous month or something like that. So I think that is a verification, right? Whatever the document. Sorry?
Do we need document?
No, we will pick up from their service desk or wherever they store it. Their change, the whatever they approved, their RFCs, whether we see it is being followed as per the whatever they said they will do it. No, then they will, whether it is all the properly signed, if all the reviewers, or whether the caps, the participants covers all the stakeholders, then whether it has gone through the proper implementation steps. So we verify it actually whether it is as per the document they are following it up. We ask some, also we talk to the stakeholders, different stakeholders, and see how they do it, or ensuring the process is followed.
Okay. Snehal, do you have anything to say?
Sujit.
Snehal, are you around?
Hello?
Yeah, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay, all right. So let me try and help you, everyone. Appreciate your efforts. This was the first exercise. Now we will be getting into multiple such exercises. Okay. Now, I will clear this. If I'm an auditor, okay, for this, what will I be doing? What will I be doing? Okay. Change management audit. Okay. If I'm going to be the auditor, I will first of all collect samples. Samples for normal and emergency. Now, this sample size in general, my dear friends, not only for change, but for all different areas of audit will be agreed initially with the client, because you will not really have a time to get into all that sample size and all. Is that clear? So you'll have to be very clear. Now, I'll collect the samples from them, and that identify, or I will say finalize the samples. Okay. For example, 5 normal changes and 3 emergency changes. I will look at, as a change management, the access to, or rather, first of all, rules in change management. Okay. Rules can be change initiator, then you have requester, approver, you have a reviewer. There are many roles that you have. So we will, and as well as CAB and ECAB. You have a change implementer as well. I'll have a look at that. I'll collect this information as well. Next, I will test the change records. You were saying document. document, I'm saying change record. That means these 5 changes, normal, 3 emergency changes. I'll just review the record. Now, when I'm reviewing the record that I have picked up, now, for example, I'll go for this. RFC is received. Now, what am I supposed to test as auditor? That how much time it has taken for the review. You must have some service level, I will not say service level agreement. So change management SLAs, that I'm going to review that change management SLAs as well. And I will come out with that SLAs on that. Okay. I'll verify against the SLAs. What am I going to do? Test change records. How am I going to test? Then I will prepare my test cases. I'll prepare the review time. Agreed versus achieved. Okay. For 5 and 3 changes only. I'm not getting into too many changes. Example, you have here the total number of samples is like in a year, number of normal changes. I have, for example, in a week 20, 80 changes in a month, multiply by, I have 12, it is 9600. Okay, so 960, sorry. So you have these many changes, out of which we are picking up only 5 and 3. I'll see review time. Then I'll see, I can verify, I may wish to see whether the approved or rejected change. Okay, and then I'll get into the cap. Now, any disputes? Okay. In opinion. Okay. Or the, of course, from the different team members that you had. Then you had the time taken for approve the change. A change is discussed here, but not approved in the portal. Implementers will not be allowed to execute. Verbally approved, but not approved in the portal. Time taken to approve the change. Next, I will be looking at whether the, of course, the tests were carried out, deployment carried out, were there any impacts, and as well as I will look at from a change management point of view that the change management report. Now this says the percentage of normal changes, normal versus emergency. Okay, I'll verify that. Now, if there is an increase or decrease, we can verify that. We can also see in 3, that is the emergency changes, apart from this, whether the tests have been carried out. In general, in emergency, most of the organization skip the step of testing and they directly go for deployment. So whether the tests have been carried out, not carried out, because it is written in the process document. So I hope everyone is now clear what as an auditor that you can verify. Now, when we know that we have to verify, okay, these things, it will become easy for you, because in general, the time that you will have is very, very limited. Time that you will have is very limited. And you cannot be, of course, spending time in preparation on site. You have to. I will say this, you should be able to make it up. If you are working with a certification body, this is available with them in general, what to test. But if you do not know the topic, subject, what to test, it will become a challenge. I hope everyone is clear. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, I'm considering no
sir.
questions.
No.
Okay, do you? All right.
But
Thank-
isn't that whatever you have written as part of the slide, you are able to fetch this data from any of your ITSMS tool, right?
Yeah, so that's right. You can also say, I have limited the discussion. I can get into this for the entire day of audit, where we can get into the supplier, for example, OEM, okay, patches, okay, then client changes. We can get into as many as topics in change management. However, we have to see what risk this organization is facing. Then you will prepare your audit case. Organization says that my emergency changes have increased a lot in last 6 months or a year. Then you focus yourself on emergency changes, normal and emergency. You may look at the requester and initiator. You may look at the approvals. You may look at the approval mechanism. So it all depends, Sugato, based on the risk, what you are actually notified by your client. Is that okay?
So just a question here. So if an organization says my ECAPs have raised drastically in last 6 months or 7 months, as an auditor, should I get into why so much? Because ECAP should be minimal, right? So that means if the ECAPs have raised, that means there is some lack in the proper processes, or maybe business reasons also. We do not know.
Agree.
So yeah. So, but as an auditor, does it come under the purview of the auditor to diagnose why it is, or he just, okay, ECAP is more, I look at ECAP, that's it.
Okay, no problem. So again, if they say that ECAP is increased, then emergency changes increase in 6 months, 1 year, and they have requested you to verify, to validate. Why? So very obvious. So they want to see, because they see the risk of that emergency changes. That does mean they have not introduced any new service or new location. They have not acquired any client or any services. A new, of course, we can say merger acquisition. It's a state and steady environment. And they do not know the reason behind that. They wanted to get into that. Then you will have to get into the infrastructure. You will have to get into the development part of it. There are many things. Then you will have to, of course, get into, for example, take the list of new services introduced in last 3 months, 6 months. New applications that they have actually, or upgrades that they have done. The changes from the client side, changes from the supplier side. So accordingly, you focus on the test and showcase the results. Is that okay? So ultimately, you will be focusing on the yesterday, if you recall, all of you, that we did discuss that how this audit works is like, I have taken an example. I'll come to 247 page number. I have taken very simple example for all of you to understand, and I'll just show you that. Do you remember this? Sugatu?
Yep.
Do we remember this?
Yep, I do.
Yeah, great. So what did we say? That you go to a doctor and tell the doctor that treat me. Doctor will certainly ask various queries. Rohit, is that clear? Rohit, are you around?
Yes.
Now, if you go to a doctor and tell him that treat me, what will doctor say? Rohit?
We'll try to, like yesterday we discussed, he will try to first understand what exactly is your issue.
Correct. And unless I know what pain that you have, how will I be diagnosing and giving you the, of course, some kind of the treatment. But this is on a similar note. Here you are not supposed to be giving a solution. You will be giving the non-conformity so as they can fix that. Is that okay? Sujit and Sugato. That's on the same line.
Yeah.
What we will be doing, we will be performing, we will be utilizing the risk-based auditing approach for this audit when we are preparing a test cases. And when we prepare a test cases, now once we are done with that, okay, we will submit or showcase the results to the client. We have taken one example. We will take a couple of more examples as we finish some of the topics. That is their opening meeting agenda. Okay, I have that as an important topic. We will take a break of 15-20 minutes. Hey, before that, Sugato, I hope your question is addressed. Sugato, are you
Yeah,
around?
I'm listening, but I'm still not convinced, Mahesh.
What?
If
Convinced? Okay.
because to me, whatever you're looking for the details, right? You can
Hmm.
easily pick this up from a tool, right? You understand what is ongoing. So if I go back to what you were explaining from a physical perspective,
So we were talking about the audit part of it.
yeah, so audit, right? So, but
the
then
control.
if I have an access to
What are
that,
we
to
looking
their
at? The
Mhm.
control. This control they have applied. They are saying, yes, we are following the control.
correct. So then
Yes,
through that
you're
tool
supposed
itself,
to
I'm
test
checking all those things that is required, right? I can
So
pick up samples
everything.
from there. I
Correct,
can,
correct.
yeah.
Correct. So you have everything in the organization in the tool. Whether you talk about SAP, AWS, Salesforce, service management, project management, right? So you have everything in the organization. So even the audit requirement is also not there. You got my point? Unless there
See,
is
the audit
something
requirement is not there. You're right, because it is when the
I'm coming.
organization.
Right. Hear me out, Sugato. Why did I say that? That most of the organization, they do not undergo, there are many organizations, they are there. There is no audit requirement. We are following our own practices and we are good with that. But when some fine day that you have an impact on the infrastructure, where the entire site is down, okay, because of the change. Change is not discussed appropriately, no feedback is taken, emergency change executed, and then you have a day, 2 or 3. There are you can see Amazon, Google, there are a lot of blunders have happened. And that is because of the change management. Now, such organization, although having not many automation, the processes not followed what is defined. We are talking about here process. You can test from the tool aspects of it. You can certainly test from the policy aspect of it. You can test on the roles and responsibilities. There are various ways that you can test. But those tests, the only discussion that we have when we are preparing audit test cases is what challenges this organization has. And we are here to test those challenges. We will not be bringing the expertise in. If you want to bring it, fantastic. But if you are trying to get into a tool configuration, of this change by me portal, then the code, then you have, but you have to see whether are you doing only change management audit or are you doing the overall system audit. Change failure is leading to availability of services. Change failure is leading to availability of services. So in a way that is impact on CIA. So we are testing that. We will be showcasing that. And once you have tested and you can see whether the things are working fine, there is no need of further action on that. If there is a lapse on all of the aspects like your supplier related, tool related, people related, process related, then certainly organization have to fix that. I hope this is clear, Sugito.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put my head around this.
Yeah. So what is your thought process on this? You are still mapping to ITIL. There is nothing which we can do. ITIL,
Yeah, that is where, because that is where the
so
experience comes
ITIL
from,
is a
right?
framework. It's a framework. ITIL will never say that, oh, you test why people are not doing this. You test the impact on the organization. You test this, you test that. ITIL will straightforward will tell you the process which I have written. You have to follow. That's what they are saying. But will ITIL tell you that what is the percentage of success of changes? What is the percentage of failure of the changes? What is the emergency normal changes? Will they try to find out the reason behind that? Will ITIL say that if you carry out the change, if you do not carry out the change, the impact of that on the security, on the organization? So ITIL will not get into all that. ITIL only define the processes and you follow that. It will help you achieve your service management objectives. But here our objective is related to security and we have taken only one control. What is my point is, out of this discussion, very clear. We need to have, when we say all these controls, we need to know subject matter expertise. Is that okay? We need to know subject matter. If you have it, you will be able to test it. And for example, now capacity management. Now you will say ITIL also has that. That's fine. But will capacity management say that what will be the impact on CIA? No. We have to test accordingly to that. Okay. Snehal, you have raised your hand.
Yes, sir. So, what happened? Like when we, like as per the example that you use, that we have to tell the doctor what we are facing issues, right?
Right.
Yeah. So for this audit, we have to, like the organization has to first recognize all the issues, like all the risk that it holds, right? And then we can go for the audit.
Yeah, that's fine. See, that is very obvious. That is very obvious.
Like an internal audit has to be conducted internally first, and then we have to work on that, and then we go to the audit committee, like audit certification body,
Very
right?
true. And we have discussed on that as well.
Yeah, right,
Internal
right.
audit has to be there. So there is no doubt on that.
Okay, okay.
However, why are we going for this? We are here for certification audit.
Right, right.
Okay.
So got it. Yeah.
So we are not doing any investigation. We are
Okay.
very clearly get into all these controls, what they say that we have implemented. Okay. Are they following that or not? That is what we are supposed to test. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, yes. Got it. Thank you.
Right. All set. Now, Sugato, we were on that change management somewhere. Now, I'll pick up randomly another control. Okay. And you tell me what will you be testing. Is that okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So what we can do is we can do the physical entry control. Is that okay?
Yep.
Now, I will take one slide like this. Okay. Yeah. I will copy paste here. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Now, if you are supposed to test this control, you're supposed to test, what you will be testing?
One would be who has the access, what mechanism is given for access, or the
Access.
process for access, right? Is it card? Is it something else? Is it
Hmm.
iris scanner, or it could be anything, right?
Hmm.
The approval process,
Documented process.
and I would check for the physical evidences of it working, right? Like say, for example, there is no tailgating happening.
Sorry,
I
tailgating.
would check for, yeah,
So you can say some.
that could be physical, right?
We can also check the like if they are using a biometric sensor for access control, whether how many false positives or what is the record of it. They must be having a record of such
Very good.
uh, record of
So
such
then
thing.
we have a mechanism of access. We will come to biometric. Yeah. Then you have CCTV.
Yep.
Not really this mechanism of access, but you ideally have, when I say physical entry controls, okay. Secure areas shall be protected by appropriate entry controls to ensure that only authorized personnel are allowed to access. If there is
ID.
some, yeah, so it is, yeah, access control. We said that.
Do they have the? I mean, do they have at the main entrance? Do they have both physical security and as well as the man traps? We need to.
Okay. Then you have, there is dead man door as well.
Dead man door, yeah. Dead man door.
There is a dead man. You have a cipher code. Okay, with access card. CCTV for abnormalities. Okay, what else?
The bollards at the main.
That's fine. Now, what is the control is saying? Secure, what is to be tested? Secure area shall be protected by appropriate entry controls to ensure that. Now, what secure area? First of all, you have to identify secure area. Yes or no?
Yep.
The data center.
It could be the building access itself.
Department
Yeah.
access.
It starts with the building access. Data center can be
Building
next.
access.
Yeah.
Building itself. What is secure area? Now, along with that, you may have technology or some specific departments, right? Okay. Now, this is what we call as first year. We will have a secure area definition. Is that okay? We have defined secure areas. Now, you have defined this. Shall be protected and appropriate entry controls. We said entry controls like biometric access card and all. Okay. You have a physical security guard as well over there. Entry control. You have a dead man door. Cipher code with access. I will replace with this. Okay. I'll replace it. You have a CCTV. Entry control is not there. That is a monitoring purpose. Only authorized person are allowed. Now you have these things. Okay. Who has access? We'll say employees. Okay. We will say access. Now, what you have done? You have in a way collected the information. What you will be testing on this? I said what you will be testing on this. You have collected the information, right?
Yeah. So we'll be testing the physical access.
Yeah. So this is what we should be coming. You will test physical access. How will you test that physical access?
By using a card that has been issued to you, or second could be
See,
through a CCTV camera.
Cross-checking with your identity cards.
cross-checking with your Okay. Is this we really have time, all this real-time tests that we will be carrying out? We are here for audit.
Yeah, it's a sample data, right?
Yeah, that is what I wrote some time back. What did we say? Now you are coming on that, right? You will have a sample. Sample for what? Success and failure. Yeah. Success and failure that you will have. Any attacks happen in, okay, the scenarios of attacks that you may have. You can verify the CCTV logs. Incidents, instead of attacks, I'll say incident records that you can verify. Why are you doing this? And what will happen with this? It will indicate whether they are following the process or not. Are you getting into investigation? I said, are you getting
No,
into investigation?
no.
No, you have said that I have a documented process for this. Okay. You have said this to me. I have collected this information and I will be coming up with some samples. I will be testing that.
Right.
That's it. Now we have taken very limited. I can get into various other modes like in terms of this, where we have whether the process says that you have to have any vendor, okay, entry and exit register. You have the entry exit register. Are you making entries to that or not?
Right.
You are going to verify that because that is written in the documented process. You will have many of facilities. You will have to take approval at least 2 days before as a vendor to get into the facility. Last minute approvals rejected. There might be some exceptions. You may verify exceptions, whether the exception approvals have received or not. So all these things that has to be tested. Shripato, the second one. Anyone else? Any doubts that you may have?
No, sir.
We can pick up randomly any area. For example, now we'll get into access. We'll get into access. Now we'll discuss about this part of it. Sorry. Okay. Now you tell me, what will you test on this control? There also I will say a documented process, right? Access management process.
Yes.
Yeah, so we know that we have it. Yes, go ahead. We'll come to this later. Yes. Fast. Fast. Yes, Sujit. Quickly, Sujit. Rohit.
Oh, just a minute.
No problem. What we can do is you can take a screenshot and come back with the answer. Yes, anyone in the group can tell me why do we perform audit? Yeah. That's fine. Okay. There are a couple of things that we can solve with performing audit. One is where we will